It's lunch on day one of the second test match between India and Australia at Perth, and then all the talk about this being a very tough pitch for the batsmen. Well, the Australian batsmen have coped up rather well. They're 66 for no loss at the moment. You've got Harris with 36 not out, Aaron Finch 28 not out. Nothing to show for the Indian bowlers as far as the wicket column is concerned. I go across to Damien Martyn. Damien, the old adage always is the fact that, never judge a pitch till the time both teams have batted, but Australia seem to have coped well. I know you made a sort of a prediction on the eve of the match saying it could be a draw. Well, that may just come true. Who knows?
Well, yes, the wicket, it's been a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
All that grass on it hasn't done a lot. And I don't think the Indian bowlers have done anything really wrong. It's been a good test wicket, and the batters, I've been impressed by Finch and Harris, the way they've left the ball. I don't really worry about the runs at lunch. I think the crucial thing for Australia was no wickets down. The unknown now has been taken out. The wicket's going to get flatter. It's going to get hotter as the day goes on. And it's been a good first session for Australia. They'll be impressed with that.
Damien says the Indian bowlers haven't done anything wrong. Do you agree with that? I mean, Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav not looking the best.
Yes, especially I felt Ishant Sharma in the first spell. Bowled a little bit short, not enough full balls, but I think credit cannot be taken away from the way both Finch and Harris applied themselves. You saw the way Harris approached the innings in Adelaide. He was trying to play a lot of square of the wicket without getting into good position, whereas the amount of deliveries they left, the amount of deliveries they defended, and it as if was very clear that even though they're batting first, they wanted not to lose wicket and create that foundation which can give them an opportunity to pile up big runs. And also it's so impressive to see how straight they have been playing.
Yeah.
But having said that, I think the fuller the bowlers bowl on this wicket and more disciplined and patient they are, that's also very important. Especially the last half an hour to 45 minutes, you could sense them getting a little restless. The field suddenly spread more square of the wicket. You could see a deep point. You could see a deep square leg. I think it's very important for Virat Kohli and the bowlers to show that patience, discipline, and suddenly with the new batsman coming in, you can get a lot more wickets than probably a set batsman to get him out.
He says, you need to bowl fuller. Let's just talk about Ishant Sharma for now, because he started with the new ball. Every time he went full, either he was spraying the ball to the leg side or, bowling on the pad where Aaron Finch then picked him up for runs. Not really in control of the ball at the moment, Ishant, whenever he tried to go full.
Yeah, not been the greatest start for him, you can say. You as a bowler, you always have the chance to come back. But also what you want on a surface like this, I also felt that his speeds were slightly lesser than what we are used to from Ishant Sharma. And I completely concur with what Laxman says. On a surface like this, the reason why we were able to bowl well in the first innings, was that they created a lot of pressure. They just didn't give too many boundary balls. They were just there and thereabouts. And even on this surface, even Jasprit Bumrah, who's generally very, very good at adapting to lengths, was a touch short on this surface. So it's about bowling those lengths, and that's what Test cricket is all about. It's not about bowling this magic delivery, which happens. It happens because you create that kind of pressure. But if you're trying or searching for it, then it doesn't happen. So India will have to, it's actually a good wake-up call. You won the first test match, you think that, four bowlers and you're going to come and roll over the opposition who seem to be fragile. Doesn't seem like they really ran you close, and they've made a great start in this game as well.
He talks about Ishant's pace, and this is a point that Kartik made, before the game started, about the workload on the fast bowlers. Is it already showing in this match? From 140 in that Adelaide test, he's down to the 120s.
No, I think it's nothing to do with the workload. It's about him thinking about the no balls. It's about him not getting right, running up to release the ball. So it's more about getting away with the negative thoughts, of me overstepping, and that's so important. I think it's not necessarily the workload, but more importantly, due credit has to be given to the batsmen. Because what happened in Adelaide was wickets were tumbling at regular intervals, especially in the first innings, whereas Harris and Finch showed that patience. You saw Finch, he knew that the Indian bowlers were going to come and bowl the ball in to him because he's a big LBW candidate. You saw him adapt to that. He's standing outside the crease, almost negating that LBW opportunity for the Indian bowler. So I think one thing which was very evident was losing patience. And even the patience which has been shown by the Australian batsmen, I think the Indian bowlers also have to wait patiently, and not once should they feel that we lost an opportunity by not taking wickets with a new ball. And that's why the session from lunch to tea will be very, very crucial.
Okay, before the Indian batsmen can show the patience, the Indian bowlers will have to show that, because you never know when the Indian batting actually comes down to play there. Melinda Farrell now joins us live from right outside the Optus Stadium. Melinda, I was listening to a few interviews there by the pitch curator, and he thought it was best that if you win the toss, you put the opposition in. Good thing that Tim Paine didn't pay any heed to that advice. Is gone, decided to bat first. It's turning out to just being fine for the Australian team.
Well, it is, isn't it? There have been so many predictions and ideas and things that we thought might happen, but when it boils down to it, we haven't had a test match here before. So it is all just speculation. One of the interesting things about this pitch, I've been talking to the Cricinfo guys, and they think so far, based on what you've seen, that it might be the second fastest, second bounciest pitch that we've seen so far. And it's funny, Dan Breddick and I talked about the bounce before this test match and how it might be difficult because batsmen at the whacker are so used to leading on length here, and how that might come into play with LBW calls, and we saw that a couple of times in the first session as well. So, I mean, I just got the feeling that India's bowlers were really trying to find their lengths, and that no ball issue seems to have got into Ishant Sharma's head as well. We saw some footage of him practicing that and going through that painted a line in the net. So all of these things have come together with that fatigue factor to just, I think, give the Indian bowlers a few things to think about on this pitch that really is, I guess, a learning experience for everyone.
Okay, couldn't really get exactly what Melinda was saying, but a couple of points that I could hear. One thing she mentions, that this being the second bounciest pitch in Australia, we didn't see any evidence of that. Couple of balls, yes, really came up to the bat when Aaron Finch was batting, but apart from that, not really the trickiest of the pitches.
Yes, and also the pace from the wicket also was not there. And I think it again boils down to what was the strength of Indian bowling attack in Adelaide. On a flat wicket, they were making sure that the Australian batsmen come and play on the front foot. And not very often you see the Australian batsmen being comfortable. Yeah. The more short pitch deliveries the Indian bowlers bowl, or any bowler bowl, the more they play on the back foot, it's in their comfort zone. And that's something which I think the Indian bowlers have to change. Make them play the big drives, make them play on the front foot, make them hit down the ground or through the cover region, and also make sure that you're giving runs, if at all you're giving only on one side of the wicket. You can't give runs on both sides of the wicket. So even it also comes from the captain, the kind of fields he sets and the kind of game plan both the captain and the bowlers devise for the Australian batsmen. It's very important that show that patience, show the discipline, and make them work hard for scoring runs.
This is, Kartik, what I was saying at the time. Every time they decided to go full up, they were spraying the ball in, and that's the reason you've got the maximum amount of runs have come there on the leg side, 14 of those.
The idea is to bowl full, not bowl right up to the bat.
Yeah.
And what Laxman is trying to say, I'll add to it. As a bowler on a turning track, the shorter you bowl, or the good length you bowl, it looks good. It's going to spin away. It looks very good. Similarly, on a good track like this, or if it's the bounciest track or a green track, the further you bowl, the more chances are of nicking off or hitting the pads.
Yeah.
The shorter you bowl, and especially traditionally in Perth, the shorter you bowl, you're not going to get LBW decisions because it's going to bounce over. So the idea is, if you look at somebody like an Ishant Sharma or a Bumrah, they've been quite short. You can actually be a lot fuller. The good length, which we generally show on a pitch map, you can be a touch fuller to that because of the fact that the bounce is always going to help you. It's going to hit you on the splice of the bat. And the fuller you bowl, there are more chances of bringing other people into play. The shorter you bowl, it looks good. It carries nicely onto the keeper, but it is not going to do anything. The batsman's not fazed by it.
Okay. And that wagon wheel is very interesting. Because if there are more number of runs which have been scored through the offside, it's fine. But you see runs scored through the cover and point region. At the same time, you see runs scored on the onside from the square leg to mid-wicket region. That means that the line, one is the length, which Kartik has told, but also the line has to be more disciplined, and more accurate from the Indian bowlers. You can't afford to give runs on both sides of the wicket, and that's the basics of bowling international cricket, and that's been the strength of the Indian bowlers just last week. So I think if you're giving runs, then it has to be one side. We bowl with a purpose, and you get. It goes without saying that on a green top, especially with the new ball, the more balls you make the batsman play on the front foot, on the offside, the outside edge will be exposed. The more you bowl in the channel or the corridor of uncertainty, you will have more opportunity to take wickets.
All right, something that Glenn McGrath did really well, that channel of uncertainty, as VVS was saying. Plenty has been spoken about the lengths of the Indian bowler, as VVS and Kartik have been saying, that you got to bowl a little fuller up, make sure that the batsman is playing those shots, and that's where you're going to get those wickets. So this is how the Indian bowlers have performed in the first 15 overs that we saw. Full lengths is, about just at a good length. I mean, that's a good amount of 64% on good length.
Yeah, but Nikhil, the thing is that good length is a big area there. If you look at it, which part of the good length have they hit? Yeah, have they hit the fuller part of the good length or the back end part of the good length? Because at Perth or in Australia, it needs to be a touch fuller. Not completely half volleys, but on the fuller side, on the fuller part of the good length, because it's a big area. Good length also is a big area every time you look at it.
Good batsmen when they're playing in Australian condition, more so in Perth or in Brisbane, Gabba, where you can trust the bounce and the bounce from good length. Also, you can leave, where the ball will carry above the stumps. A good batsman, especially the Australian batsman who grew up in these kind of conditions, Damien can tell a lot more because he played a lot of cricket in Perth. Is even the good length ball, you can just leave the ball. Whereas the fuller here, you'll get a little bit chance, and you're almost forcing the batsman to play at the ball. And that's why I'm not surprised that the number of deliveries they left were a lot more compared to Adelaide, where the bounce was not so much as you've seen in Perth so far.
I'll take that question to Damien, because an interesting point here. Sometimes we always end up looking at the good length, but which part of the good length, as Kartik said, sometimes you need to go a bit fuller here. Would you agree with that, Damien? Especially in a pitch like the Perth or as the Gabba, where the bounce is true and it really bounces rather well?
Yeah, I agree with both things. I think I grew up in the Wacker where you could leave the ball on length and would bounce over the stumps. And I think what as playing at home side, playing at the Wacker, whether it was first class cricket or for Australia, you could always know that the opposition sides loved the bounce. They saw the ball flying through and it was quick. But the bowling shorter was actually better for us because it took LBW out. We could leave the ball more, and we're probably better at our square wicket shots. When you pitch it up, as Murali says, it's much harder. You want to get us. It can be a bit straighter, but set your field accordingly for that. But you'd rather be getting the batsman trying to come forward, and it's got to be fuller. And so Nick, but a good length here and at the Wacker it was. You just leave. And I think what I was impressed with the opening batsman today was they left the ball well. They need to leave the ball well. I mean, different wickets, playing in India different, maybe playing in Adelaide, but here it's as the boys say, it's got to be a different length and a different way to approach your batting.
Okay, we'll talk about the Australian batting a bit on the lengths because that point is well taken, as you're saying, bowl a bit fuller. But sometimes you can use the short pitch ball to intimidate the batsman. Do you think India has done that well in this particular session? Because I think the first bouncer that they bowled came in the 12th or the 15th over.
Yeah, and they bowled probably only 2 bouncers. And if you're bowling bouncer, it has to be just like the way Travis Head got out in Adelaide. The way Ishan Sharma set him up, pitch the ball up, 2 or 3 consecutive deliveries, and then surprise him with the bouncer. So I think when you bowl the bouncer, it has to be into the body, almost trying to hit the badge on the helmet, and that's the right bouncer. Because the moment it's offline, whether it's on the onside or on the offside, it becomes very easy for the batsman, more so for the Australian batsman or the modern day batsmen who love playing square of the wicket on both sides whenever it's pitch short. So as the match progresses, if the Indian bowlers are not bowling the short pitch deliveries accurately, then you'll see a lot more boundaries square of the wicket, especially on the offside.
Okay, one is to bowl it accurately. I'm taking that question to you. I mean, if you're not going to use a short pitch or a bouncer on this track, where else would you do that?
Again, it's the right mixture, isn't it? It's the right mixture, and again,
that
you have to
mixture
get that.
hasn't happened because
It's not happened, and it's easier sometimes on a surface like Adelaide where it's inconsistent or it's a sort of tennis bally bounce. It's difficult for a batsman to evade on a quick surface. Although if you're not adept at playing quick deliveries, it's a different thing. But if you're a good batsman, a quick delivery, people can evade. And also, at Perth, it's about getting that height right, because if you bowl too short, it's going to fly over. Again, finding the length on the pitch is so important to find that bouncer as well. And as Martin said, the idea is in India, if you bowl the same length, it comes and hits you in the middle of the bat. If you bowl slightly fuller up, it's still going to come and hit you around the sticker at places like Australia or Perth and places like that. And that's why for everything, whether it's the bouncer, whether it's the the full length. It's finding that length right and be consistent and patient over there, which is so important. And I come back to the 2011 series. I want to touch upon it.
Yeah.
We had a famed batting lineup. It's the Laxman, Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar. Guys like Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad can make the ball talk in English conditions, but they still kept it there and thereabouts. Frustrated the hell out of the Indian batsmen, and they find the odd ball. And that's exactly what is Test match bowling. And that's exactly what we did even in the first game. So India have to quickly revert back to that.
Okay, quick question on that. You need to frustrate the batsman. The one bowler who's looked really effective, who is troubling the batsman, Mohammad Shami, and he's bowled the least amount of overs. Would you have liked to have seen him bowl?
Surprised.
Yeah?
Really surprised. Again, it's very important to rotate the bowlers. Especially when it's so hot, you can't give them long spells, and you want them to bowl in short bursts, maximum of 4 overs, and not more than 4 overs. I was a little surprised because the way Shami bowled, I was thinking that he should have bowled a lot more than what he did, especially in the first session, because the role of a captain is to quickly know and judge who is in good rhythm. It doesn't matter what they've done in the previous match. It doesn't matter what they did in the previous net session. It's quickly to identify who is the bowler who's running in well, who is the bowler who's releasing the ball and bowling more wicket-taking deliveries. And you give that bowler more number of overs, especially at the start of the Test match. Okay,
I'm just looking at his figures. Mohammad Shami bowled the least amount of overs, as I said. In that first session, has just bowled 5 overs, given away just 4 runs. That's how effective. And those couple of close LBW shouts against Aaron Finch. On that subject of those close LBW shouts, I take that question to Damien. With Aaron Finch, and this is a point that VVS also made at the start of our discussion, he's come out better prepared, you'd say, standing really outside the crease, to negate that swing that Shami might getting his front foot forward, better prepared, you'd say, for this match?
The more you play Test cricket, I think for him as well, you understand your game, as we said before the show, about how to play Test cricket, which is different to the shorter form of the game, but also, assessing your game on what wickets you played. I think him batting outside his crease, trying to get forward. I mean, if you do that like the Wacker or this pitch, it's very hard to get LBW. Anything above the knee roll, it's going to be tough. And on these, say, first 3 days anyway, to get LBW. So I was impressed by the way he left the ball. I was a bit worried that last half an hour when he played and missed a bit, didn't he? That they started to go a little bit fuller, a little bit wider. And it was like he had this moment where he batted so well, but he just wanted to start hitting the ball again. And we saw him play and miss. And I think that's where he has to sort of adjust that. And also the Indian bowlers say, okay, look at that. Let's go back to that and try and get him doing that.
Okay, he's done in the hard yards. He's put in those effort at the moment while batting, ensuring that he leaves a lot of ball, and that is paid dividends for Aaron Finch, who's got a few runs under his belt now in that first session. Plenty of pressure on him going into this Test match. Does he deserve to be there at the top order? Plenty of questions also coming in from various people who are watching our broadcast at the moment, and this one is from Devojit Sarma, and he writes, this is to Damien Martyn. He says, Marcus Harris looks like a long-term prospect for Australia in Test, just Finch not so much. Your take on that? He's still not impressed with Finch at the moment.
No. Well, I think we give Finch some time. I think, look, Harris is that sort of classic opener, isn't he? Like Justin Langer or Chris Rogers, who, just tight technique, and we know he can make a lot of runs. I mean, Finch is the X factor in a way. Remember like Michael Slater when he first played, came out and the first over, if you bowled a full ball, he could hit you over mid-off for 4 or play a pull shot. So you've got to sort of adjust to that and say, depends on what the selectors want and what Justin Langer wants and the team in a sense of their batting lineup. To me, Finch is talented. He's talented. He's just got to adjust his game. So I'd give him a bit more time. But yes, I agree, Harris, he looks like a long-term player for Australia.
He also looks like a chip of the old block, Justin Langer comparison, because he's been his coach, I think, since he was a young
I don't
kid.
know about that, but the first impressions I saw, and I was mentioning this during commentary in the last game, I said with the cap, with that Australian baggy green and that similar sort of a sunglass, which he looks like David Warner, not when he runs, but just when you look at him from side. And then with the bat in hand, with that stance, he looks so much like JL.
Yeah, standing straight upright, left-handed batsman.
Usman Khwaja has also started looking like JL in his stance. You can ask Damien Martyn about that.
Yeah, do you think so? I'll get Damien on this. The 2 replicas of Justin Langer's there.
Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay. Let's take a look at how the Australian batsmen have performed. Of course, 66 runs is what they've managed, but the percentage of shots defended left alone, driven, and other shots. VVS, you wanted to make a point on.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's so important, to defend and leave alone. Especially when you're opening the innings, you didn't have a great test match, and you're playing against quality fast bowlers. So the more you leave the balls, the more you play close to your body, underneath your eyes, more in control you are. And as the innings progresses, the shots also will become more and more evident as far as the Australian batsman is concerned. They will unleash the shots. But I think the way they left, the discipline they showed, was very, very important, especially from Aris, because the youngster is playing his second test match. There will be a lot of nerves. He grew up in Perth and he wants to establish himself. And the way he got out in the second innings in Adelaide, I'm sure he must have got a lot of flack from the media, from the supporters of Australia. When you're trying to either win or save a test match, you cannot afford to play that kind of rash shot. So what he did was he's looking to play front of the wicket, whereas he's not looking to play that flamboyant shots we saw him playing in Adelaide. So I think credit to the young guy. And Finch, the challenge for him is, I agree with Damien here, is his mindset, which is so important in white ball cricket, and he's been very successful in white ball cricket. If he plays with the same kind of mindset, then at some point he'll lose the patience. He'll lose the discipline which is showing before the lunch. And that is where I think that can lead to his downfall.
But the signs are there that he's ready to put in those hard
yards.
He's trying hard.
He's trying hard, but it's never easy. It's never easy. You never know. You never know when that switch of the one-day cricket will be on. So that will be the challenge for him. And I think from the Indian bowling lineup, it should not become very predictable, where all they're trying to do is bowl the ball to get him LBW. I think that should be a surprise weapon. As far as the Indian bowlers
you
is
mean
concerned.
the one coming in should be a surprise, or the one going out?
No, coming in should be a surprise, because he's technically he's got a problem where his head is falling. Because of that, his weight is going more towards the offside. So while you're trying to get the ball away from him, almost inducing him playing a false shot when the ball comes back in. So he's ready for the ball leaving him. So he's looking to leave the ball or play the shot on the offside, and his body weight will go on the offside, and that's when the incoming ball will become a wicket-taking ball.
It's amazing how somebody like a David Warner made that switch instead of being on high octane to play well in Test cricket.
Sehwag, I mean, same more.
Similarly,
Okay, they did rather well in the longer format. Okay, plenty of questions coming in from those who are watching our broadcast. Here's another one, and this one I think I'll take to Murali Kartik, you could take that. Is this the start of the end for the fiery, bouncy track we think of when we hear about Perth? This track looks to deceive.
We've had so much chat about that track. Look, it's early days. It's early days in this test match, early days of a stadium, so it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen. But you're so used to the traditional Perth track which had lots of cracks, and historically the kind of games we have seen there, you feel sad. For me, as a cricketer, who loves the white clothing format, I feel sad that we moved away from Perth, the old Perth, which was the Waka. But I don't know, it's early days. The drop-in pitches, I don't understand the drop-in pitches.
Oh, let me take that question to Damien. He played a lot of his cricket at the Waka. I mean, why change that? So much nostalgia there, great ground. Why the new stadium?
Well, I think it's politics, isn't it? I think it's the Waka. Just around the ground there was getting old, the stadium in a sense, and I think with the government and mixed in with AFL football, and they wanted a multi-purpose stadium, which they've built, which is great for the people, and it's an amazing stadium for AFL, Australian Rules Football. But yes, I mean, Marcus Harris mentioned it. He said, he grew up watching cricket at the Waka, and he wanted to play for Australia and play at the Waka, and then his test match in Perth, he's playing at that new stadium. So it's a bit of both, isn't it? I mean, the Waka, for me, I played all my career there, and that pitch was amazing. That was bouncy and quick, and it wasn't even back to the days, the Dennis Lilly days. I remember watching Dennis Lilly and Rod Marsh and Australia play those days. But I think it's just progress, isn't it? That there'll be still games at the Waka in a sense, but probably not Australian games, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, since we're talking about Waka, I would just get so nostalgic. I've heard stories of Jeff Thompson actually bowling a ball, bounce on the pitch, and the second bounce would be the side screen.
Yeah, unbelievable. I think he can do that on any ground. He was so quick, and I think he was very lethal. Very, very lethal.
Okay, getting back to this game, and because a lot of fans here are also disappointed in that sense. Much was expected out of this particular track. You were of the opinion before the day's play started that maybe batting first may not be a great idea, but now do you want to change your mind?
Yeah, the way the wicket has played, it
Surprised you?
It definitely surprised. Because when you're in Mumbai and the match is happening in Perth, you take into consideration what the experts there are saying about the wicket, what are the experts talking about as far during the pitch report, and there was so much of talk about the pace, the bounce, even from the curator, but that was not at all to be seen. And it was a little surprised, and I just hope it's not about me being surprised, but I hope that Virat Kohli and Team India should not be surprised and let down, because that is the mistake. If at all they feel, then that will be the mistake, because the body language changes and they feel that we've gone in with 4 fast bowlers, whether that was the right decision or not, and all these questions will come into their mind. So that's why I think I'll again go back and reiterate the point that they have to be disciplined, irrespective of how the wicket is playing. Yes, everyone expected it to be more pacey and bouncy, but it's not to be, and it also is very evident that the Australians are going to fight it out. It's not going to be very easy for the Indian bowlers. They can't run through them. So it's important to play and bowl with a purpose and with a lot of patience, like the way they did in Adelaide. And Adelaide wicket was a placid wicket. And on that wicket, if the Indian bowlers were effective, I think it's very important just to switch the lines and the lengths and be more watchful and patient. They will reap the rewards.
Don't get carried away with
Absolutely.
what you're seeing and just play by whatever is happening on the pitch. A quick word on something that Melinda made a point, and I wanted to bring that at that time, was Ishant Sharma not bowling at that pace. She was of the opinion that maybe the no balls that he's been bowling 20 odd in that first test match are playing on his mind. Could
I
that
don't
be?
think so. It shouldn't. It shouldn't, because that is not. You don't correct that with your pace. You correct that with where you start your run up from and how do you how and where you hit the crease. If you start thinking of bowling no balls and losing around 15-16 kilometers, I don't think that happens.
I think if at all, we have to be critical about it. If someone is losing 15 kilometers, there has to be some reason behind that. So it can,
Does rhythm sometimes play a role?
yes, so the rhythm is affected when you're thinking about your run up, when you're thinking about your no balls, because he's conscious about not overstepping, because it happened quite often in Adelaide. So there the rhythm can get affected, especially for a fast bowler. All the pace generated is not with your action, it's not the way you release the ball, but the lead up to that. So the running is very important. Whenever I see Ishant Sharma, whenever I see someone like a Shami or Umesh Yadav, not so much with Bumrah, but more so with these 3 bowlers, is the way they run in to deliver before loading. The way, the intensity with which they run will invariably show in the way they're delivering the ball.
I think Bumrah is the only exception. He just comes
Yeah,
in.
I disagree with this theory, because look, you correct yourself when you're trying to correct your no ball. It's a different aspect of it. You can be slightly fatigued, you can be slightly off rhythm, but lose 15-16 kilometers to correct a no ball is a lot.
But you spinners never had to worry about that.
We all of us, everybody has their issues with their run up and the load up and the tempo and the rhythm. So it's all a combination of everything. But if I start trying to correct my no ball with my run up and the way I'm going to bowl, then it starts affecting lots of other things.
I guess individuals sometimes are made differently. Some can
people should ask him at the end of the day, why were you bowling?
15 kilometers is a big
difference.
Big drop.
Big drop.
140s, 120s. I mean, massive
huge difference
at the moment. Okay, plenty of questions coming in. Here's another one. We've got Damien to answer one. We've got Murali Kartik. VVS, your turn. It's going to be a question of who loses concentration first. Both batsmen and bowlers prying on each other's patience.
Yeah, very good question, Vidyasagar. I think the next session, this will be very important. I felt that the Indian bowlers lost patience in the first innings, session. It's important to show that patience. The batsmen have shown, the Australian batsmen who didn't show that in Adelaide, while the scoring rate was close to 2 per over, but they tried to play some flamboyant shots. Whereas here they have been very, very watchful in leaving the balls, defending the balls, and also whenever they were playing the shots, it was down the ground with the full face of the bat. So I think it's very important to be patient.
Okay, we've analysed the players the 22 players or whatever. We've just seen 13 of them right now and how they've performed. But now is the turn of our experts. How have they performed on day 1 of the second test match? This is Fab 4, where we asked our experts to pick 4 players they thought would do rather well on day 1. And this is how they've performed. We'll start with the left arm spinner in Murali Kartik, and he had picked Khwaja, Harris, Shami and Bumrah. Khwaja, of course, hasn't come out to bat. Shami has 5 overs to show. Jasprit Bumrah about 6-7 overs. Harris has been your star, the only one who's got you points. So well done, with 36 points he's got. So any comments on that? Happy? No, it's too early.
I told you I'm shooting in the dark from the get-go.
Okay.
So right now I'm still shooting in the dark. It's just that there's something, 36.
Yeah. It's too early anyway. There's still 2 sessions to go. Next is VVS Laxman. Let's see how he's done. He picked again Khwaja, Shami, Bumrah and Ishant. He hasn't opened his account, but that is pretty normal for a middle order batsman. You come out to bat only later in the day.
Or a non-regular opener. I was.
yeah. And then swear never to open ever again. Okay, Damien Martyn, let's see how he's done. He had a very different 4 that he had picked: Sean Marsh, Hanscom, Shami and Sharma. But he's quite similar to as far as the points scored. With VVS, he's got no points so far.
I think the nepotism quotient can be given 100 on 100 for going for Perth boys.
Okay. So he went for the...
I'm waiting for the new ball to get off, so the middle order comes in.
Yes, we'll have to wait.
And I always maintain that Kartik used to be very effective on green tops. So he started off well on a green top.
with
the newish ball itself.
The ball or the bat. He got some runs, as we were saying, in Perth on a green top.
Yeah. He's the most successful batsman amongst us. At the back.
That is a problem. I'll take a quick comment on that, because you're talking about tailenders. When we were discussing the playing 11, we kept talking about who brings in what. The other problem is India's tail just did not wag in that first test. Now, effectively, they've gone with 4 number 11s in the squad at the moment. How is that going to play?
I think if you're depending on the 4 number 11s to score runs, then there is something wrong.
But
I understand what you're trying to say. I mean, the great determination showed by Lyon, Pat Cummins, and then even Mitchell Starc in Adelaide was unbelievable. That's the reason why they went so close. But having said that, I think the Indian batting group with the top 7, including Rishabh Pant, a lot of responsibility on them to score the runs. The job of the 4 bowlers is to pick up wickets and without conceding too many runs.
Yeah, true. If it's going to be a very low scoring game, we don't know yet. Then bowlers
doesn't look like
Ashwin there. Then we were talking about contribution. Ashwin contributed with the bat, which you're not going to get now.
Yeah, you're not going to get that, and that's why what I said in the morning was completely different. You need a spinner somewhere, or you get one of these 4 pacers to turn to spin off a few yards. And then secondly, look, you need to give responsibility to certain people, and this is why I said in my preview yesterday that when Ravindra Jadeja goes out to bat at number 3, number 4 for Saurashtra, he bats like a batsman. And similarly, for any bowler, you've given that added responsibility to think like one. Sometimes when you go at 8 and 9, you think very differently, and that's why Ravindra Jadeja has been so good off late. And also Bhuvneshwar Kumar is a very, very handy bat, and with the ball in his hand, he's always going to be omnipresent right through those 90 overs. He's going to make something happen. So that's why my team was picked in a way, taking care of all the things. But right now, that's what they've gone with, 4 pacers. Okay. How's the workload going to be? Because it's going to drop. See, 39 degrees, 38 degrees, whatever, it's going to play its part.
Okay, will India miss Bhuvneshwar Kumar? We'll talk about that at the end of day's play. For the moment, it's lunch. 66 for no loss is Australia. Murali Kartik, VVS Laxman, Damien Martyn, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, plenty to look forward to. 2 more sessions coming up. Will the Indian bowlers make a comeback? We'll wait and watch. You are watching ESPN Cricinfo Match Day.